Hello and welcome to Phlearn. My name is Aaron Nace and I'm so excited to be bringing you this exclusive interview with Natalia Seth, also known as Escaping Youth on Instagram. This interview is a short section of an exclusive tutorial only available on Phlearn.com. In the tutorial, Natalia not only talks about her process as a photographer, but she also teaches you Photoshop, actually taking you through step by step and recreating some of her fantastic images. I'm so honored to be bringing you this exclusive interview with photographer Natalia Seth. Hello and welcome back. We've got Natalia Seth, also known as Escaping Youth, in our studio today, and we're gonna talk about some of the ideas that go into making Natalia's photos. We're gonna talk about becoming kind of an Instagram, I'm gonna use the word star here.
Oh, okay.
Any favorite editing like workflow or apps, and also challenges that are associated with becoming a public persona. Posting your work on Instagram, how old were you when you started?
I was about 13 years old.
13 years old.
Yeah.
And now you're 18, so it's been 5 years.
It's been 5 years.
So starting off, can you tell us a little bit about your style as an artist?
Yeah, so my style, I would describe it as realistic. I do a lot of compositing of different magical elements into my photos. It's the type of thing that you don't usually see every day. I like to make weird things, make weird art, so people, when they see it, they're like, oh, wait, that's a little bit interesting. Yeah, I say like surrealistic is my niche.
Seeing you and meeting you in person, I get a greater sense that your style seems to just be an expression of yourself.
Yeah, I like to spread positive vibes. And so I like to just positive vibes into the air, you know? And I love to reflect that or give that message out to people through my photos. So
Yeah.
like using color is so powerful, and I also enjoy showing a lot of emotion, like really happy or like really frustrated, or like just like showing emotion through color and like exaggerated facial expressions too. So
Yeah, totally.
that can create a powerful impact on the viewer.
So what makes a great image in your opinion?
I think what makes a great image is originality. A lot of my favorite photos are really weird, are really strange or original, and they're the type of photos that I remember. You know, like you don't remember the photo of a girl in a field because there are like thousands of them, yeah?
Totally.
If it sticks with the viewer, then you've done your job. Yeah.
And that's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah, originality is hard.
That's really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you do it? Like, where does it come from? Like, what's the
secret? Well, I have a lot of ways that I can garner inspiration. A lot of my ideas come from color, as you can see, like my clothes. And I get a lot of inspiration from locations, from props that I see. I just go into different stores sometimes and just buy random things. Like the other day I bought a giant clown toothbrush. Not that I'd ever use it or anything. And giant scissors too.
Did you have an idea for a photo when you bought the giant toothbrush?
No,
not at all.
I just thought, I was like, that's really interesting. I know I can use that somehow. And so when I scout out locations, then I think of the props and I'm like, what can I use here? And also, what type of model will fit the location? Is it me, or do I need more people to fit the image that I want?
So you're finding like little pieces and then
putting it all together, kind of like a puzzle.
Yeah, putting a puzzle together.
This puzzle that I didn't even know existed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's actually a really interesting way to create original images. Do you make a conscious effort to like match the color? Let's say like, I'm gonna have this photo be primarily pink.
So I try to find colors that are relative to my idea, and like the colors don't have to match exactly like the shade that I'm thinking of, because I can always change it in Photoshop. Thank God for Photoshop. Like I've changed like blues to like pinks and like yeah. So like the article of clothing, like how the design is what's most important, because I can't change that in Photoshop. I can change the color in Photoshop. So yeah, I definitely think of a color. I think of the colors around and just like see how the props and like the clothes and the surroundings all play together and what colors I can make out of that.
So let's switch gears here a little bit. We've talked about some of like the creative process and some really good nuggets in there. Solid gold.
Gold nuggets.
Now, on the other side of it, you also have like the social side. Like you post your work on Instagram and you've built quite a following. Do you have any tips for people on building a following, let's say on Instagram?
I think a lot of it comes from the work that you produce and how genuine you are about it. A lot of my audience can feel if I am super happy about an image or if I'm super like pumped about this image because they can tell I put out my whole heart in it. If you're just creating for trends, if you're just creating so that your audience will like it or you think that your audience will like it, they're going to notice that because it's not genuine to who you are. And you're going to build this personality that is fake. You're going to build this facade that is not you. And then eventually, like, you can't keep that up for a very long time.
You can't.
So you want to start off with who you are and just see what type of style of photography do I like? Like, what type of things do I want to photograph? And your followers will be fine with you experimenting. And I say sometimes in my caption, like, I'm trying this new technique out and we're just going to see how it goes. And people are really supportive. They're like, yeah, I love doing that thing. Or like, yeah, like I also am in experimenting phase. So I think my followers and I are very connected because I'm very truthful to them and where I am as a person as well. So be weird.
Be weird. It's the secret.
It's a secret.
For me, Instagram has always just been like kind of just something I post my work on. But for you, it seems like it's more than that. It seems like there's a community there. And it seems like you're kind of like building a relationship with these people over time.
Yeah, it's kind of a trust relationship. And I also built a relationship with the people in my community. So in the editing community, I call it, is a group of people that I talk to a lot. We always comment on each other's photos, and that's also how I grew too.
Cool.
Connections are so important.
Yeah.
Not only with like your followers, but like just like the people who are interested in the same thing than you.
These are your friends. This is like a network for you, and this you're invested in this network.
Yeah.
And you know, it sounds like that in itself is kind of like bringing like. You probably don't look at it as like a following.
People are like, you're so famous. And I'm like, yeah. But I don't really think of it like that. I'm like, I don't really consider them like my followers. I consider them as like supporters more.
That's cool.
Than followers because they're active and commenting and they know my work and they're supporting me. They're not just following and just, you know.
There's people on the other side of that.
Yeah. Like being followers is like more of a degrading term than like supporters, you know?
Cool. I like that. Be a supporter, not a follower.
New motto, new life motto.
A little bit on the technical. You got to post every week?
Yes, I try to post at least every 3 or 4 days.
Okay.
I think keeping up your posting schedule is very important. I don't have like a set posting schedule just because like school and like, you know, life. And I tell my followers like if I take a break for like a week, I'm like, I'm so sorry. Like things have been hectic lately and they'll understand.
Yeah. So those are your like formal posts. And then what about stories? Do you do like Instagram stories? Yeah,
I'm also active on stories. I've been more active lately just because I went to Adobe Max and I had to post every day. Adobe Max is a conference for creatives, if you don't know what it is. And so I was promoting it and I had to record kind of my experience and share with my followers what I was doing throughout the day. I try to live in the moment most of the time and not be on my phone. So Instagram stories is a little bit harder for me because I don't want to be on my phone and like recording the moment. And then it's also kind of like disingenuous sometimes where you're like trying to have like a genuine moment and then you're like,
hold on, let me
vlogging. I love this cake. Happy birthday to me. So it's like, I try to not use my phone as much, but I think it's really cool for my audience to see sometimes behind the scenes.
It is cool, yeah.
So I've been trying to record more like behind the scenes or like daily things that I think would interest them. And it's been really cool because they've been responding positively about it. And I think I'm trying more and more to engage with them in different ways.
Cool. Do you read your comments?
I read all my comments. I try to respond to most of them because...
Wow, that's impressive.
It takes a while because... Again, I don't try to be on my phone too much. And responding to comments is a lot of time, and responding to DMs is a lot of time. But I think it's very important to interact with your followers. So I try to respond as much as possible and not just be like this ghost.
Would you say you have any favorite editing like workflow or apps, programs you're using?
I started with Superimpose, which is a great app. I recommend it if you are not into computer editing or if you just want to start.
Okay.
And then after Superimpose, I upgraded to Photoshop, and that's what I still use today. So I now use Lightroom first to just do some color correcting with my image, and then I go into Photoshop and then manipulate the image in Photoshop. And then I just export it and then post it.
Yeah, I found that, I've used a bunch of software too, and I found at the end of the day, Photoshop is just the most powerful program out there.
It's really powerful.
You can do so much with it, and it's like, I'm really interested in using other programs, and I think they definitely have their uses. But at the end of the day, like if you have access to Photoshop and you know how to use it, it's like you can really pretty much do anything.
I tried different programs like GIMP or just like PicMonkey, I think is one of them. Not really an editing program, but I tried it. And it did not have the same powers that Photoshop did. It didn't have the tutorials or like even the resources to learn it.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Because like I was searching for like GIMP tutorials and I couldn't really figure out how to use it, and I eventually gave up. And so I like switched over to Photoshop, and then Aaron here has a great YouTube channel, if you don't know. And I started following Aaron when I was trying to learn Photoshop. So that's how we kind of found each other.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're right. That does make a big difference. When you're trying to learn a program, sometimes it can be frustrating, and having those resources online really can help you kind of like push through that boundary. Yeah, these days pretty much you're taking your pictures, editing them in Photoshop, and then exporting them and posting them on Instagram.
Yep.
I have the same workflow.
Wow, crazy.
So obviously, like becoming well-known on Instagram is super cool. I got my start on Flickr and gained like a really cool community there, and then like transitioned to YouTube and have a real cool community there. So I know that like with gaining a community, there are also challenges that are associated with becoming like a public persona, like having a public profile. Have you experienced any of those?
I have not experienced too much negativity, thankfully. Back when I was growing a lot, I had a peak somewhere in between like 2014, 2015. There were some hate pages, and with popularity comes, hate as well.
Yeah.
Like it's bound to happen. So there were some hate pages, but it didn't really affect me too much because I decided to ignore it.
Good for you.
And if you don't give them like attention, if you don't give them what they want, they're eventually just going to delete themselves. And if you acknowledge it, it's just going to become worse.
Haters gonna hate.
Yeah. Yeah. Haters gonna hate.
You can't stop them, but you most definitely can ignore them.
Yeah.
And good job doing that too, because I know a lot of people, when they get that attention and then they get some negative attention, it affects them personally. And I've been there as well. Like throughout the years, I've had a lot of times when I'm like, there have been things that come up that I've taken very personally, and it does take. It can be tough to kind of like ignore them, put them on the back burner, and just be like, all right, put them on the back.
Especially since you did the 365 project and it was all self-portraits.
Yeah.
So the only subject in it is you. So like the only person they have to criticize in the picture is you. So you're putting yourself out there so much that there's bound to be some criticism in there, and it will affect you. Especially that you're like, oh wait, it makes you doubt yourself sometimes.
It can. But with some of the negativity also comes a lot of positivity.
Mostly positivity.
I would say so with me as well. Like 98% positive.
Yeah, definitely.
Can you talk about some of the positive experiences you've had on becoming like a social individual? Yeah, I guess so.
Influencers, creative?
Yeah.
I have a lot of positive experiences because I get a lot of like positive comments on each of my photos. And the ones that stick out to me are the ones that actually criticize or or compliment the technique I use, or like, I really like this star that you used, or something like that, like something specific, not just like amazing. And
good job.
That's fine too. But like if they actually took the time to like write out more than like 2 words, I'm like, aw, thank you for taking the time to do that. That's
cool.
Really sweet.
So if you want Natalia's attention, you have to comment with
more than 2 words.
something specific on one of her photos and make it positive. Well, it sounds like Instagram's treating you well. It sounds like photography's treating you well. And I am really excited about this tutorial we're going to be making.
I'm so excited to show you guys.
Thanks again, Natalia, Escaping Youth, for joining us in the Phlearn studio. We've got a great tutorial for you guys coming up right about now. Good job. Thank you so much for watching. I had an absolute blast working with Natalia. Now, this is just a short clip of an exclusive tutorial we have available on Phlearn.com, where Natalia teaches you step-by-step how to recreate her images. So if you want to go even more in depth and find out how this wonderful artist creates her images, be sure to check it out on Phlearn.com. Thanks so much. I'll Phlearn you later.